Welcome, Sophie, to the Vulnerable Voices podcast with your host, me, Nisha Mystery. I'm really intrigued to have this conversation with you. You have been on a journey. Where you are right now is incredible. You've worked extremely hard and you just have a really raw and pure energy about you. And we only met not long ago. So energy doesn't lie. So I'm really excited to hear about your journey and obviously explore the mental health side of things and also what messaging we want to send out to the audience today as well. So I'm really, really excited. Welcome. How are you? How are you feeling?
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here today. And yeah, we connected straight away when we had a chat before this. And yeah, loved your energy and thought we have to have a chat on your podcast. Absolutely. And yes, as you said, I'm Sophie Karl, mostly known as Sparkling Sophie, producer and actress. And yeah, just produced my very first feature film.
I love that. Well, congratulations. That is an incredible milestone. And for anyone who hasn't watched it or hasn't tuned in or followed you, please do because it's brilliant. You're very, very talented. So I'm intrigued. Have you always been interested in film and the creative art side of things, or talk us a bit about that journey? Because I'm intrigued myself. So I'd love to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been intrigued by that kind of world. It all starts when you're a child and you look at certain like cult films. I mean, like Grease, Grease, Dirty Dancing, all that. You're like, oh, it looks like fun. And these are actors and this is a job. And oh my gosh, how does that work? Like, is real life also like, do you feel it on set as well? All these questions when you're growing up. And so I've always had kind of like a keen interest on digging more into that side. And also, I guess I have a personality which is slightly eccentric, tiny, tiny, tiny bit. So I always thought maybe if I went into a film and TV world, I would find people who were more like me. And I soon realized actually it wasn't the case. A lot of actors are actually really, really shy and really just focused in their characters and all that. But it's still beautiful. Everybody's very, very different. But those were the initial things which kind of pulled me to research into it. And then when I actually experienced being on set for the first time, I was like, wow, I everything just left from my brain, every negative thought I've ever had or any thoughts at all, really. I was just in the moment, in the present,
Mm.
living there and just purely happy. And that's when I knew, I thought, okay, that's where I'm supposed to be. That's where I belong.
It's like almost like a real connection to that inner child. And I talk about this all the time. Inner child healing, inner child connection. It's really, they know who you are. They know what lights you up and brings you joy. And that for you was film. And there's something about film as well and media production and going from zero to producing something that has feeling and meaning and being a part of it. But if someone were interested to explore and had that sort of interest or gosh, how do I get into that? Where do you even start? What would you say there? What has your journey been like? Because this industry can be quite tough. It's very competitive. You're always on the go. Where do you start for like baby steps to go from?
I think you start by, first of all, believing in yourself and believing that your ideas are possible. I mean, I come from a background where I'm like, impossible, there's no such word. Impossible is impossible and everything is possible. So that's number one. Then I would look at people who've achieved things and who've achieved where you want to get to. And then ask those people, like everyone is always really receptive and happy to help. And, as long as you're very respectful and just ask a couple of questions here and there, as long as not like every hour, every day and be like, help me, help me, help me. It's again, I'm always happy to answer questions too. And then it's just literally go for it. So just, start writing. That's how I started. I started writing a script. I was going to do a short film at first. I thought that was nice and, you know, easy-ish, 10 pages. And then I got a bit ambitious. And that 10-page script went on to 90 pages. And then, those local actors I was going to cast and do everything on a free voluntary basis went to being a team of 40 people on the film with some like well-known names in the UK as well, who I'm really thankful that they've said yes to like be a part of film and trust me on this journey as well. So yeah, I mean, it's really listening to your inner voice and where that journey takes you and just taking those steps to making it happen.
The belief in yourself, it's nothing grand, but it is grand in the grand scheme of things. If you think about it, it's a thing that keeps taking you. It's that belief, and it's hard because sometimes it can be knocks. Sometimes you do get setbacks and rejections and things like that, with lots of industries, but this one in particular, because of the demands and the pressure and the competitiveness, it does happen. How did you face the rejection? How did you face some of those adversities where you were really passionate and the belief was strong, and then you got a few knockbacks? Like, what did you do in those situations that, someone watching could be like, do you know, I really need to hear that. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, at first, I would cry. Simply, I would cry and feel like, oh gosh, because I'm quite a sensitive soul. Really, I think a lot of like artists in general are very sensitive and emotional beings. And once I cry and all this, I'm someone who bounces back up. And I'm like, the way I approach it is the more failures I go through, the closer I am to succeeding. And what they say is true. I mean, when you're talked about, when people say things about you, you are in people's mind. So you are doing something right because people are seeing that things are happening. It's tough. I mean, I've had so many doors closed in my face, and I said, even through the making of this film, Requiem for Desire, I was crying every day. Like, I know it's not something, that maybe we should say, I don't know, but, I was in tears every day, and it is what it is. It's a lot of work. And because I mainly produced this on my own, and it was quite a big task, but I brought it onto myself. But I would definitely in future always work with a team of people. It's so important. I think the reason I didn't at that point is because I didn't know who to trust because of those people who might have, screwed me over in the past, people who've like said things and all of that. But then now I've come to realization that it's always kind of half half. Even if I was the most perfect person in the world, even if you were the most perfect person in the world, there's always half of people who will be really positive about you and half will be negative. And that's just the way it is. And we just need to accept that and again, believe in yourself and listen to your guts. I think that's also what I've learned from this first filmmaking journey is that everything that I was feeling a little bit unsure about,
Mm.
it happened. So really listen to your gut feelings. Yeah.
No, I love that. And it's placed like a lot of trust in the right people through listening to your gut, through actually sometimes when you are ambitious and you have belief and you've had loads of adversity and setbacks and rejection, you do get this armor of who can I trust? Can I trust anyone but myself? Can I lean on people? And there's an element of being vulnerable to take a risk again, to trust someone and start again. And I think you showcase that really well. Like you have this really strong energy about you. I don't know, I can't explain it. It's just a feeling that when I speak to you, it's like no amount of setback is gonna stop you. You're like on this you're like a Trojan that just keeps going and you're like, right, I'm on a mission and that mission is beautiful. And so I'm interested to know like what this recent film is truly about. What are the depths? What is behind the scenes of why you created it? Where did it come from? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So, I mean, the first inspiration came from a Victorian house, which I visited and I filmed in with someone called Stephen Southhouse in Sussex. And then from there, I just really tried to connect with myself and with people I, talked to, close friends and some ladies who've like been very trustworthy in me and like confiding in some things which happened to them. And so the story is very romantic. It's got like some ghostly spiritual elements, reincarnation. It's a little bit sensual as well, but it also has a strong underlying theme of abuse towards women. I just thought, I didn't think, hey, I'm going to make a film and make, a storyline about that. But I just kind of came to the paper in that way. And as I said, through stories that I've heard, I think it's very important to use those mediums we have these days, films, TV, or any mediums you've got access to kind of pass on messages in your own personal way to just help people speak up before it's too late. And I think even if one person sees it and, connects with that message and is like, okay, wow, this has made me feel like, more strength. And yes, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to do something about it. Or I'm going to have more confidence in myself. I'm going to see life in a different light. It's just an absolute win. And yeah, that's what a Requiem for Desire is about. And again, without really doing on purpose, I'm now involved in 3 other projects which have those strong elements of abuse towards women as well. And I've also just recorded a song, my first ever song. I've never thought of being a singer before, never knew I'd be a singer. Again, things just happened. Went there, I went in with like my little pink guitar, thinking I'll try and do a love song and, all that. And suddenly I found a lot of poems that I wrote throughout my life about anxiety, different things. And again, those stories and all this from things, because abuse can be physical, but it can be psychological as well. And suddenly this song just became something completely different. But I went with it because, again, following your guts and your instinct. And now it's something with that theme as well, and anxiety and the abuse we get in today's society and speaking up. So yeah.
That's what I love is like what you produce and the things that you come up with is based on reality. And this is what part of this podcast is about. It's the reality of things. It's not hiding behind the show and tell, not hiding behind like false narratives. It's being real. And I think that's what I love about you and what you produce and how you speak. It's real. Like you don't have to question whether something's authentic. It just comes. And the way you speak about how things have changed, you start from one idea or something and then it adapts because you're going with what feels right and what feels real. And then you talked about how actually it's through speaking to other women and their experiences, you kind of brought that together in one space to then continue to do that and share messages. Messages are really important. And actually in your industry is so powerful. It can ripple across millions of people in the right way. And I love that. It's a community feel. It's actually advocating for things that you're passionate about and things that people have been through. So I love that. So I just wanted to celebrate that this minute because there's a lot of ego that comes with some industries as well. I know that myself in industries I've explored, but there is a lot of genuine people out there who are using these platforms and mediums in a way that's actually really helpful and beneficial. So yeah, hats off to you. It's brilliant. You talked about actually a really sensitive topic about abuse towards women, and that could be physical or emotional, mental, financial, anything. What have you learned through learning about people's experiences there, and how can we protect people from experiencing that? Like, what's been your experience through learning through other people, and have you experienced it yourself?
Well, first of all, like I say, abuse towards women, but of course, this stands for everyone as well, like abuse for anyone, as I said, physically and mentally as well, psychologically. Like a lot of people don't associate the psychological side to it, to abuse, but actually it can be very, very detrimental. I would say from myself, from my experiences, it was more psychological than anything. But sometimes I feel we don't always recognize things as abuse. And these days there's just so much about it all over the place. It's kind of become a theme which is used a lot everywhere, but not necessarily for the right things. When something becomes too overpowering and people are using it for the wrong kind of messages, the wrong kind of ways, you just don't know who's gone through it truly, who hasn't these days anymore. I feel that there's still a lot of people who are not speaking up about it because now, because of all those people who have like said things which were not necessarily true. Those who have really, really experienced things sometimes are not taken seriously. Again, because of all that loud noise which is around. So I just find it a bit difficult for like, yeah, those who've really gone through something to really be able to speak it in the right way.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like the only way to help is to not actually. I don't know. It's good to say speak out and all of this, but I feel it's for me to do it in a more kind of subtle way as well, and just by seeing other people experience things through maybe the medium of films and TV and through different stories and all that. I feel that really helps to like, get something out of someone who doesn't want really to say anything or is scared, knowing that they're not alone, and knowing that they don't need to spread it out on, publicly in social media necessarily, but they can just speak it out in different ways. And knowing that there's those other options, of course, like, we know these days therapy and all this, but, also other personal options, like, first of all, like, write about it, write about all your thoughts every night before going to bed or every morning, saying it's going to be okay. And just simple things as doing like some fitness activities just to keep your mental health going. And all of these things, even though they don't necessarily seem relevant, can really be helpful in the deliverance of knowing what to do with what you've gone through and feeling more comfortable and confident in communicating.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you touched on like this can be for anyone. It's not just women. We talk about women because obviously I hear it a lot more, we vocalize it, but also men do experience similar situations, psychological abuse, physical, financial. It can happen to anybody. So thank you for raising that awareness too. It's really important. And the psychological abuse, sometimes I find it's very subtle, like what people don't realize. And by the time got to the point of it's enough, they've already experienced subtleties, throughout years it could be before they actually even realize something's happening or this isn't okay. And part of these communities I'm trying to create through this podcast and what you're doing as well is community. It's if someone's brave enough to share or open up the dialogue about it, and someone who may not want to do it so publicly or share actually can come away with some ways to cope or manage or find someone to speak to. And I think that's amazing. And I just feel the things that you've mentioned is really important to note there. So thank you. You've mentioned you've done a lot of writing. You love writing. You start from 10 pages to 90 pages, which is incredible. You get into this flow. I'm going to go back a little bit because we talked about, growing up and, as a child, you thought, wow, like you watched a film and you were like, I want to be part of this. It lit you up. Was that encouraged growing up? Were you encouraged to explore that? Were you encouraged to be expressive in yourself? Or what was your childhood like when it came to creativity and being your authentic self?
Yeah, I feel like growing up, my parents were very open to me being creative. So I was very lucky to be surrounded by that. And yeah, I was very artsy, I guess. I didn't necessarily realize talking about writing, you kind of like sprung something in my mind that actually no one really knows, I don't think. So I I spent most of my childhood writing. I was just writing, 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 like all the time, every day. My parents couldn't take me away from pen and paper. And I kind of lost that now, and I'd like to get back into it. But it was something I just did naturally. And all the time, I was just writing poems, prayers. And yeah, at the beginning, my parents were actually asking me, where did I get it from? Or, all this. But no, it was all coming from me and pages and pages and pages, literally every single day, which is kind of, yeah, crazy when I think about it now. I had forgotten about that side of me when I was growing up. So yeah, I had it in me without even knowing from the beginning, I guess, like that enthusiasm into creating stories and
Almost like all of this, it was like almost like preparation. And I don't know if you believe this, I do, and I do it a lot in the world that I'm in and where I want to go, but manifesting without realizing you're manifesting what you're doing and where you're at now. So when you look back, you're like, wow, all this writing, all this, you're a producer in your own sense when you produce the poem, when you produce what you're writing and sharing. And now you're able to express it in a different way, but you're still coming back to the core of what you love, which is writing. And I think writing and the way people put words together is so beautiful. It's such a talent. And I think my question that's coming up right now is what inspired you, like, to take the notebook and pencil out or pen? Is it your surroundings? Is it something you'd gone through? Is it just thoughts? Like, or is it just you sit there in front of it and something just comes? Like, what kind of gets your mind going to go, okay, I need to write this down?
I think again, it's just something which makes me feel calm and which makes me feel like my true self. I feel, I mean, a lot of people do say writing is cathartic as drawing and different things, but yeah, writing, I truly feel you can just immerse yourself on the page and just live it and just get rid of all these thoughts that you have within you, those negative thoughts which are haunting you, or just put down on paper those positive, beautiful, first love kind of vibes, or first friendships and all your emotions onto a paper. And I just think also maybe one of the first things which made me do it was also part of being creating memories, those memories. I know that on paper you can't forget them, they're just there, and you just want to write everything you're feeling now so that you remember how you were feeling. And I think I've always been someone who really wants to remember those, just again, those feelings I've like been going through. And yeah, that really did help.
Is it like a process of like whatever you were thinking, you would just write it? So it's almost like that dialogue from inside is going outside. Because for me, for example, I struggle to write like that in continuous. Like for me, it doesn't make sense, or I just end up writing random words and things like just kind of dump everything onto a paper, even if it doesn't make sense. Like, how is it for you? And if someone was like, actually, I want to explore journaling and writing, expressing that way, but I can't write, it doesn't make sense. What would you say to someone there who is sat with a blank piece of paper and a pencil, want to get their thoughts out? What would you advise?
Well, I would first advise to not worry if it doesn't make sense.
Yes.
It will eventually make sense. So start off by, if it doesn't come to you naturally, start off by telling yourself, okay, every night before going to bed or every single morning, give yourself, I don't know, 5 minutes at the beginning. That's all you need to just write everything which is on your mind. And then it just becomes a habit after a while, after 2 weeks of doing that, then you'll see like the sentences will be like more concise, everything will make more sense, and then you'll be able to express yourself more. And you'll even be feeling, more confident with a paper because some people don't actually trust writing their feelings. But that relationships also develops along the way. And I just feel, yeah, it's just about making it happen and make it more as a routine at the beginning, and then it just becomes second nature automatically. And that's how stories become stories as well. I don't know how it's the process for everyone, but when it comes to creating a film, creating a story, creating a book, I'm a bit more regimental when it comes to that. I'm like, okay, I will get to 10 pages a day and not let myself go to bed or do anything until I've like achieved my goal. But that's quite me. I'm quite regimental when it comes to creating certain goals and sticking to them. But again, if you don't stick to your goals, don't take it like, badly or be like unhappy with yourself. Then you just need to go for like goals which are smaller. And well, as we know, I do manifestation as well and all of that. I feel creating goals is really important, and just, rewarding yourself in certain ways is really important too. But some goals for some people can just be like s- waking up in the morning and getting out of bed or making your bed. Just simple things like this could be a massive goal for someone. And I think goals shouldn't be compared. We all have our own kind of journeys, our own kind of goals, and they are all equally important for individuals. So yeah, just
I love that. It's removing that fear, isn't it? Is when we are sat in front of something, whether it's a canvas, whether it's a piece of paper, whether it's a camera, whatever it is, whatever medium it is, even cooking is the menu or instructions. Like it's that fear that you've mentioned, and it's removing that element of judgment to ourselves because ultimately we as humans, we can judge. We judge before knowing, before trying, we judge others. And it's just, we live in this visual world, don't we, of things that we see, and we're so quick fired to be making like opinions, which is natural. We are humans. But I love that you remove the element of fear and judgment for your own self to be able to go, no one's reading this. It's just my personal thoughts. It's absolutely okay. And that thing that you're producing or writing or painting or creating, it's not judging you back. It's not going to give that kind of level of shame or those negative feelings because it's there. It's just present with you. And the more you look at it, you start liking it. You go, wow, actually, I feel good about it. And that's what I love. That's what I love when you speak about it so much because you're advocating for that feel good feeling. It's a self confidence thing. And no one needs to know unless you want to share. One day I would love to hear one of your poems actually because I'm sure it sounds absolutely beautiful and just you can really understand the mind of someone through poetry and writing. And I think it's an amazing skill. So thank you. Sometimes I find that this has been on my journey is when I create, it's because I want a connection to somebody, because sometimes I can feel quite lonely on my journey when it comes to connection or really feeling seen, heard, and validated. Has writing been like almost like a friend to you to keep you company in lonely moments? And if you have felt alone, what would you like to have felt with people and connection to feel less alone? Like what is your loneliness?
yeah, no, so I feel like writing definitely feels like paper and pen because that's how I write, on pen and paper, old fashioned way, not my computer, my phone. I feel that's really what you need to release your thoughts and your energy, just that old fashioned pen and paper. And yes, it feels like my best friend, definitely. So it does make you feel less lonely. So yeah, for all the lonely people out there in your lonely moments, take a pen and paper and you won't be lonely anymore. And yeah, during my lonely moments, what they feel like. I think, well, I've always got loads and loads to do. Even when I don't have anything to do, I always create new things to do. I've just have got this proactive kind of brain and which is kind of dangerous in some ways because I've always got like ideas sparking out from everywhere, and I'm like, oh gosh, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and it's just my kind of way. And I guess I'm lucky to be interested in a lot of things, like drawing, painting, writing. I'll give it a go at everything, and so you don't really have those lonely moments. The lonely moments that I do have, it's when, of course, with the acting world and producing, it's up and down constantly. And so the ups are really, really good, but then the downs are really down. So you need to reach out to people constantly. Nothing happens on its own. I mean, some people do get, just seen somewhere at a bar and then, they get their dream job. Mm, yeah, like the artistic journey is quite a complicated one. And you just feel very lonely sometimes, especially through social media. I mean, it counts for all industries, I think. People relate a lot to social media and see everybody doing those fancy things, having a wonderful life, flying there in a private jet, flying there, doing this. And it makes people question themselves a lot, and that makes people feel very lonely. And I think all the phone, being on the phone all the time and all that, again, has made people feel more lonely than they've ever been, really. We're all together, but at the same time, we do feel lonely. And it's kind of sad. But yeah, it's just about understanding that social media isn't always as it seems like, people who have got like those a lot of people who've got those pictures of private jets, they're actually just in a room with a picture of like a thing which looks like real. And then everybody's like, woohoo. And, I'm like, no, 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 just realize sometimes, I've also had moments where I haven't had time to post something and also, you don't necessarily want people to know where you are at the moment where you are. And so I'll post it a bit later, in the week or something. And for example, a close friend, which will be with me during the whole day, then, when she gets home and sees a post, for example, will be like, oh, you did that since I just saw you. And I'm like, oh dear. Like even people who know you, don't realize that, social media, you just need to really have that separation because that can really cause great loneliness and cause people to have misunderstandings about people they know and maybe, yeah, just don't understand everything which is going on. And yeah, and lonely is a dangerous place to be.
Yeah. No, thank you. I think it's a good split between the loneliness in a physical sense. You can be in company and still feel lonely, or you can be lonely through social media. There's loneliness in so many different aspects, isn't it? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it's about finding spaces or things or even looking inward to reconnect with some of those parts to then be able to, what we said when we first started talking, it's your vibe attracts your tribe. And it's like what how you feel and what you want to connect with, things like that are really meaningful to you, those people do come eventually, and that loneliness and the distortion of reality slowly starts to fade because you're around real genuine connection that feels right for you. But I like that you mentioned this, and I'm going to ask you this question in a minute, but it's the distortion of reality. It's behind the scenes, you don't actually know what's really going on. And actually for people to step away from the screen, so like you said, you like writing on pen and paper, it actually helps us connect and crystallize what we're writing. It actually brings us into the present moment. Whereas social media, it's like you don't get the true sense of reality behind the scenes. No one really advocates for the reality of things. How do you advocate for reality through producing? And do you find challenges with that at all? And if you do, how do you push back? How do you navigate them where you think, wait, this is not real. We need to adapt this slightly. Talk me through that if you've experienced it.
And for me, it's like that question is more straightforward for me because I think I just automatically try and be as real as possible. And whether it comes through social media or through films, like on films, I did like, talk to the actors before and everything and make sure like they understood things and that they could make that character real to themselves. And then, yeah, no, I just kept everything very grounded and nice, no use of AI or anything. I mean, it's the same with the promotion of things and all that on social media. I never use, I don't even know the name of it. Oh, I forgot. When you edit a picture and it looks like all pretty.
The green screen or the CGI? No, is it CGI?
Well, when you brush, I don't know, anyway.
Airbrush that, I
Like,
don't
yeah,
know. Photoshopped.
but yeah, on my side, like, it's just something, again, it's not something like I did on purpose. I just feel it's normal to be natural, because I mean, it probably comes from being an actor. I don't want to be somewhere and show myself as something I'm not, which is ironic because being an actor is like playing different characters. But I mean, like in the casting process and everything, or when directors or producers see me, I want them to see the real me. Because what's the point of seeing a fake Sophie, even if like I airbrushed, I think, even if I airbrushed myself and like had less wrinkles or everything, then, I would feel like pretty not too good about myself going on set and like, them seeing me in a different way and being like, oh, that's not the same as your picture. It's not the same as your video. I don't feel really good about that. I just feel you have to stay real and believe in yourself and be proud of who you are. And we need to like believe in our beauty and our faults and our strength. And it took me a while to actually be able to say to myself in the mirror that I love myself. And it feels really weird and bad to say this, but actually it's so important to love who you are. But for years, like someone who would tell me I'm beautiful, do you know what? I would cry. Ridiculous. But it took me all that time now to just be happy with who I am and just gain that strength. And I think that's a beautiful thing of growing as well. Yeah, you grow older, but you grow more confident within yourself and more acceptant of yourself. And you're living with yourself, so just as well accept yourself.
I love that. And I love, do you know what you said at the very beginning about self belief? And so, when you sometimes don't believe something for a very long time and then someone says it to you and then you're working on believing it, you do cry because actually it's almost like your nervous system starts rewiring and going, actually, this is true. People are seeing things that I haven't seen for so long. And when someone else says it, you're like, wow, like maybe it is true. And I have to say this, you are beautiful. You're incredibly beautiful. Your energy is just insanely beautiful. And so I totally get it. And it's like looking at yourself in the mirror and actually accepting parts of yourself because with AI and the airbrushing and all this Photoshop that you can do, things like you said, wrinkles, you don't see that. So when you see it in a real human being, you almost question like, why do you have that? Why aren't you perfect? And society has like really distorted the human side of being human and aging and loads of different things that we go through. So yeah, it's like it comes back to that self-belief. And I can really see that that's kind of really solidified as part of your character. Like you have this self-belief and I love that. Have there ever been moments when you've been to like casting or you've had to audition or, along your journey, have there ever been experiences, and this may not be the case, but where they've tried to change you or they've tried to say, could you be a bit more like this? Like, have you ever experienced that or know anyone who's experienced that?
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think it happens all the time. I mean, when I was like a little younger, I don't think people know that, but I did have like modeling castings and I could have gone into that. But basically, for the catwalk and things, I was they would say, girl next door. So because I would smile a bit, like, a bit more and be a bit more excitable, and be like, hey, I came to a catwalk casting and I said, oh, I just came back from France. And, like, I don't know, I did that. I was just joking with them. And they're like, you know, you're what we want, but yeah, it's to go next door. We can't have that. We need you to be a bit more posed, more like, silhouette. And yeah, just say those little things. And those comments, they're all like little things, but they do hurt, when you're growing and stuff. And of course, people say all kinds of things, they can, yeah, just like single out one of your, let's say, wrinkles, or they can say that your hair's terrible. All of that has happened in different moments. There are different ways of saying things. And I think people are more aware now than ever that it's important to communicate in the right way when you're not accepting someone through casting. But I think that took a long time to be where it is in our days. And before it was just more straight to the point and not even, being helpful in any way. It's just like straight to a point for no reason, like just little comments here and there, which were not needed. But, I myself, I- I'm quite happy to have experienced all that because it's made me stronger and I would not go back onto that because I feel all those little things you go through once again, like I was saying about failures, they just help you become stronger. And yeah, even with my film, which I made, Requiem for Desire, as I said, it was tough. It was very tough to do that, like, to do a lot of all of that alone. But honestly, it was the best learning curve ever because it's just taught me so, so much about everything in such a little time, really. Because I just had to work things out for myself. And it was a wonderful learning experience. very, as I said, very stressful. I even started having my hair coming out. Like, oh, what's happening to me? It's horrible how stress can cause you physical deterioration. And what stress feels for someone, doesn't look the same for someone else. Like, why do you stress about those things? I wish I wouldn't. But I think sometimes when you stress, is that you care a lot as well. And I was caring a lot before to please everybody. What you learn again is you just can't please everyone. You need to just make sure you're okay, check in with yourself a lot. And as long as you're okay, just make sure, that you respect everyone to maximum like possible, and that you give love as much as possible. You make things happen in the way you said they were, and then you leave it at that, because then it just becomes too much. Yeah.
A lot of like boundaries in terms of like actually knowing yourself, and this is what you do a lot, is the inward self-reflection, like what feels right for you, what doesn't, what are you willing to say yes to and no to. How has your journey growing up with saying no to things, obviously people pleasing is massive, I am recovering people pleaser myself, so I know how hard sometimes it is to say no in a kind way when your body's so used to going yes, yes, and you're like, hold on a minute. How has setting boundaries and that level of self-respect, how's that journey been for you?
Oh yeah, people pleasing, I said, gosh, that's something that most of us don't realize we do.
Mm.
And do you know what? It's only since this year, which finally I'm like coming to grasp with that whole thing.
Yeah,
Because before it was really difficult to say no.
yeah.
Very, very difficult. But no, it's super powerful and it's a beautiful thing to say, actually. And people actually respect you more when you say no, funnily enough, because they know that's where you stand, they know where they stand. And there's just certain ways of saying it and doing it. And yes, some people won't be very receptive to it. But again, you just need to believe in yourself, believe that what you're doing and saying is right for you. And as long as it's respectful for all parties, it is the way to go. I think no is a beautiful word now. I mean, even as an actor, with people coming to me, and I've had people ask me to be the lead in their films, and I've actually said no. And I felt terrible and guilty and everything because, I'm not in the position of like being on, Leonardo DiCaprio level and all that. I should be up for most things. And as an actor, any job is kind of good to get. But I realize you do still need to make choices to go within the right direction, a direction that feels right for you. And if you don't feel like something's right within what we're putting your way and offering you, you do have the right to say no, and it'll be okay. Everything's going to be fine. And then that person actually ended up writing another script where I'm the lead for that. So that's beautiful. So they realized I wasn't, okay with one, but they really admired that I knew what I wanted and saw something somewhere else. So yeah.
I love that. It's like saying no doesn't close doors. It opens the right ones and it's in alignment. And actually it's being okay with disappointing people sometimes and like not having to, as a people pleaser, having to fix that for them and make them feel better when then it disrupts your own peace and going, that you weren't quite ready for that. So saying no felt right. And actually it's a mutual respect to say, you know what, this isn't right for me right now, but when I get to that point, it feels right. I will say yes. And you can then give your all to that when you feel comfortable. So there's those three stages of comfort. There's a comfort zone where you don't push at all and you stay safe, and that's okay. Some people love that bubble. You've got the middle ground with the growth zone, and then you go literally what you said, you've gone to say yes to the things that feel right in forward movement, but not too much in the third zone of stress where you are burnt out, you're not quite there. So you've done the right, so you're in the middle zone of that growth zone. And I love that. And it's just so powerful in your industry, especially. And this is what I wanted to raise as an artist, as an actor, as a writer, as a producer. That creative world, when you have a desire to get placed and you've got goals, sometimes we want to keep saying yes because we want to move forward and progress and, you know, level up. But at the same time, it can set us back like, a lot more if we keep saying yes to things that aren't quite right. So no, thank you. Boundaries is a massive thing and you do that beautifully and you explained it really well. So thank you. I have two questions before I'm gonna suggest where people can connect with you, what's coming up, and all the exciting things that you're doing. If you were sat opposite your younger self right now, maybe 3 or 4 years old, what would you say to her right now?
I'd probably say, yeah, believe in yourself. So
Okay.
see, it's like emotional.
It's okay. She'd be so
Yeah, I'll
proud
just
of you.
just say continue and yeah, just believe in yourself. Things are happening.
They are, and you are so beautiful. And I can just see she's that so proud of you and going, yes, you've done this for me. And I've only known you a short time, but honestly, I just see loads of good things happening for you. You've deserved it. You've worked so hard. This is what I love. Vulnerability is beautiful and it's a strength. And yeah, thank you for sharing that one.
I just think, people sometimes don't realize how challenging some things are. Because again, through social media and what you achieve, sometimes you go and get an award and they think it just happened. But actually, it's been like a lot of years of struggling. So, yeah.
What would you say to someone who is early on in their career, apart from believe in yourself, that would really give them the strength that you've got right now to continue in whatever form of creative industry or whatever they want to do with their goals? How would you advocate for them? What would you say?
I think I'd say surround yourself by the right people. Create yourself like, an A team of people who believe in you and that you can bring each other up and just bring beauty and lovely energy to each other and just living the dream together, really.
I love that. There's more so many questions coming up. Sorry, this one I have to ask you actually. As a mental health advocate myself, what would you want to do or change if you could in these industries to make support and being able to talk to people more accessible or more approachable? What what would you want to change within your industry for that, like mental health support?
I think making things a bit more discreet sometimes as well, having that mental support, which is not necessarily shouting out on the roof, hey, there's mental support, we're like providing it. You can go there if you want it, but more making it something very discreet, just, having a little chat here, a little chat there, and just seeing whether they need it in that way. I think sometimes when you asked straight off, like, mental health, blah, blah, once again, some people who are truly suffering from it, they don't relate to it as mental health, or they want to be strong and they don't necessarily want to affirm that with themselves. So it's more about those little different alleyways. And maybe if you're seeing that someone is struggling, not necessarily mentioning it in that way to them, but again, maybe let's suggest a little writing session on the side. Oh, there's a break later on, we're thinking of doing like a little writing session. Or when it comes to film sets and TV sets, yeah, having some little breaks for people to just bond, doing an artistic activity. I mean, films and TV is artistic, at the end of the day, but doing something where there's no pressure, where they don't need to remember lines, or they don't need to focus on anything, lighting or whatever. Just something where they can all connect through drawing, writing, and just being that inner child, which is still somewhere within.
No, I love that. I would love to come and step in and do a workshop and like host that for people because it's like you can literally rip up paper and like really express. I think it's just like expression in a different way that connects and you have like vulnerability that is safe. Everyone wants to feel safe in that. And when one person goes, oh, they said this, me too. Like I felt like this. There's a sense of like belonging again, which removes the
Mhm.
element of loneliness. So who knows? The industries and things might change where they have this. And I think it's a really great suggestion. I think it's a really great angle to look at it. And you're right, it's really subtle forms of reach outs and helps. It's not the big grand like gestures or the grand people there. It's the small little quiet conversations that helps. It's really
Mm.
great advice. So thank you. I'm going to stop asking questions because I could talk to you for hours. But where can people find you, connect with you? What have you got coming up? Projects that you are allowed to share?
Oof.
And for anyone watching, please, please, please do follow Sophie because her stuff is amazing. She's very talented. And I will also be linking everything in the description. So tell us what exciting things are coming up.
Well, first of all, the easiest way to connect with me or to follow my journey is through Instagram, Sparkling Sophie 1111. 1111 is my birthday. And also, like some people say, an angelic number. So, you
It's a
know,
manifestation number
yeah.
one.
And yeah, so yeah, that's my little birthday. And then,
Mm.
so the film, which has just come out on Apple TV, is a Requiem for Desire. And that's Apple TV, Amazon, UK, US. And it's going to Italy and France very soon as well, and on different platforms worldwide, which is lovely. Then a film I'm working on at the moment is called Mirror's Image. Woo! It's basically my phone cover. It's like,
I love that. Advocate for yourself. Why not?
and yeah, so Mirror's Image is again about the exploitation of females within the film industry. And we have just got Refuge UK as our official partners who are collaborating with us, which is very, very big. And we've got a lot of women which are coming on board to help us like pass on those very important messages. So yeah, we're looking forward to developing this even more. We're looking at filming within a few months, so that's very exciting. I mean, I've got a few other films which I'm working on and coming out, which I'm not necessarily allowed to say too much about as an actress, but they're very exciting. So fingers crossed. And yes, I've got a song coming out too. So I should be coming out in about 2 months maximum. So
Amazing.
yeah.
I can't wait to like keep on track and listen to your song as well. I'm sure the words will resonate with so many people. You are a beautiful woman, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast and being vulnerable and having a cry with me and sharing.
So
You are just the epitome of strength and bravery, and I'm so grateful to have met you. You've given me hope, and your energy is so infectious. So good things are coming, and I hope people support your journey. Just thank you. You're just fantastic. Thank you so much.
oh, thank you.
Well, we'll see you soon. I'll make sure I put all your links and everything coming up in the description to be shared. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to people following your journey. But good luck with everything, and I'll see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much.